Next we have Sophia.
Sophia, again, a very interesting and a mixed goddess. She's a Gnostic goddess, often associated with Mary Magdalene, but she is, so her story is just very briefly, she was in higher dimensions, basically the Gnostic story, because they use this terminology and the different words, but in the different eons. And she decided because either of curiosity or some kind of something seduced her from below, from lower dimensions, and she fell into lower dimensions, basically. And once she was in the lower dimensions, including ours, right, because she fell into our dimension, she forgot who she was. She completely forgot who she was. She forgot her divinity, and that's why sometimes people say it is a metaphor for the journey of human soul. Right? Because we forgot who we are. And she forgot who she was. And sometimes even they say to that degree that she became a prostitute to earn a living. But very often it is explained that it's a metaphor, meaning that it's a metaphor for her forgetfulness. She forgot her divinity, so she prostituted herself in a way, like living in a way that is not appropriate for her, because she's a higher being, she's a higher soul, but she forgot about it. And it's in a way a beautiful story of romance between Christ consciousness and Sophia, because in the story, Christ consciousness, sees her there, like a divine consciousness sees her there and descends to bring her back to her proper dimension, much higher dimension, when she was one with the one, but now when she realizes who she is, she only half of her consciousness goes back with Christ consciousness to the divine consciousness, and half of her consciousness stays here, because out of compassion for humanity, because now she knows what it means to be forgetful of your divinity.
That's so beautiful. I have chills all over again. Oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. And
yes, that's what we could call a hero's journey.
She went through a hero's journey.
Yes.
So here's the interesting thing, and I think it's important to also differentiate. Her frequencies were completely different than Mary Magdalene's, completely different. And it is also, I would say, it's important for people to realize that she was her own unique being, having
her own experience.
Okay. And it doesn't mean we're taking away her, whatever she was before she incarnated, but she incarnated at the frequency of 500, which is love.
Flow, full,
yes, so flow. She was born at the frequency of 500, which we call flow, and her overall frequency was 500. Okay. She viewed health through the lens of 500, finances 250, so very objective, creativity 540, so blissful. This is a blissful frequency. So she created through the lens of, I would say, childlike lens.
Yes.
Very playful. Relationships she viewed through the lens of 500, which is, again, that state of flow. Personal growth she viewed through the lens of illumination. So these are the higher frequencies, 700 to 1,000. Philanthropy 500. She was a very loving being. Intuition 400, which is, again, this analytical way of perceiving information. And maybe that's the part that she was forgetting, right? And trying to reconnect. Clairaudience 400. Clairsentience, which is feeling in the body, that was 500. So she was in the flow there. And then clairvoyance and claircognizance 400. Again, she was employing that analytical, intellectual way of processing information or processing intuition. IQ 250. EQ, emotional intelligence 350. So again, her emotional intelligence was definitely higher. SQ, and that's her level of magnetism, 700. So people perceived her as an illuminated being. And her AQ, adversity quotient, is heroism. So again, she had to awaken to her own, as Alejandro just said, hero's journey, to recognize, right? And awaken to parts of herself. She enjoyed her role 100%.
Okay, that's good
And that's perhaps why she decided, part of her decided to stay here. Her ego was at 72%. And out of that, 86% inferior. So this is where she probably felt like she wasn't good enough. And that was her hero's journey, right? In the now, 90%. Integrity, 100%. She was in the integrity 100% to herself and others. Beautiful.
That's beautiful, yes.
So beautiful, right? Self-awareness, 99%. Clarity, 100%. She was 100% in alignment with her divine and personal purpose. Compassion, as you said, she had this compassion also for humanity, 100%. Empathy, 100%. Energy purity, she embodied the 500 frequency at 100%. And then as far as dimensions, she experienced seventh dimension 86% of the time. So yeah, she was definitely connected to higher realms. It's beautiful.
That's a fantastic reading, because I think that she's sometimes misunderstood simply because of her fall, and people keep focusing on her fall. People who study Gnostic writings, but the truth is, it is a very beautiful journey. And as I said, it's kind of signifies our journey. We forget.
Right.
Get caught up in stuff, stupid stuff when you look at it, right? And devote our lives to this. And then we awake, and this is what she represents. And when she awakes, she doesn't just go away, right? She just says, no, I have to help people, because I now know how it is to forget who you are.
So beautiful. Yes.
Osho, I'm paraphrasing. I don't remember the exact quote, but he said that only stupid people don't make mistakes.
That's right. And this is her case, And I like also the fact that you said, because I said she fell from higher dimensions, and you said, well, yeah, actually she was in the seventh dimension, right? And just the curiosity or even compassion. Sometimes people say, moved by compassion, she just looked down and she said, what's there, right? And then once she was attracted to this, she fell into this, right? So
yes, but she, we read her and I thought, wow, like this is really just embodiment of flow and love, right?
Yes, that's right. Yeah. So it's a beautiful, I'm really happy with this reading. Yes, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
The beautiful thing is that we've done the readings without having any really solid foundation.
Because it's not our area of expertise like it is for you.
Really, okay, the name and just diving into it without having any
ideas,
preconceived ideas about where they're at or what they've done or whatever the case might be.
So that's fantastic. So it actually is a confirmation of your method, And for me, I'm really amazed actually by the fact that, she did fall from another dimension, and this is where you're telling me she actually belongs to a different dimension, which is the biggest part of her story, really, right? And her compassion also, it's also the biggest part of her story. So
her integrity too, right? Her integrity, 100% to others.
Yes, so because she did it for us from the beginning to the end, right?
Yeah, so there's a drastic contrast, like as we revealed, Isis, right? Isis versus Sophia. You can see, right? Doing something for self versus I'm here for others, right? For the collective.
That's right. I'm not here to play a goddess, right? I'm just I came, because out of compassion for the beings here.